Welcome again. This is Stephen Wilson. I'm a libertarian running in the U.S. Congressional District Number 3 in Missouri for 2012. And the purpose of this video is to help explain a simple solution to state employment model. First and foremost, I'm not going to address the collection of taxes, and I'm not going to deal with the actual expenditures and what they're going to be used for. Rather, I would like to deal with something in macroeconomic formatting, and that is price and cost of labor. Rather quickly, wage is identified as inelastic because of the fact that it is identifiable only as a constant in as much as the labor is required for the purpose of what the company has pre-existing. And therefore, state employment is secondary to private sector employment, and therefore it should be used as an anchor. And something that people need to start dealing with is the fact that state employment predominantly is service-centric, and that does play a role in the way that we allocate funding for that service, because we have to deal with the principle of redundancy. Because if something is done by the state that can be done by the market in the private sector, this activity would be identified as deflationary. And the final point that I wanted to make before I got involved in the actual model itself is that state labor does have the ability to replace current collectivism in regards to people that are on assistance, and instead of just giving them money, actually set up the ability to work for the state as a means of collecting their own pay. This would be identified as a kind of training day, because not only would it help people gain a market persona, but it would also help them understand banking and finance, even in the smallest possible degree. And now let us move into the actual model itself. We have to start with our legend, and we start to deal with the anchor and assumptions of the model. The first one is that X will equal the median household income, and the second anchor is going to be that the employment be rated per time based on level of education at the time the state employment started. Now, the reason that we use median household income for this formulation is because it is statistically more correct in regards to telling me what is going on in that domain over a set period of time. And the reason that I'm going to be using employment based on education of the time of that employment is, again, to make a reference to the idea that working for the state can actually be a training day to allow people to gain market persona based on experience, one day's work, one day's pay, etc., etc. Now, when we go down the simple chart here, we're looking at education level, and as you can see on the screen before you, there is graduate and PhD, bachelor's, associates, and then we have high school or GED. As you noticed, the person must have some kind of proof that they have gone to school and finished something, because here the basic premise of a degree program is to prove that a person started and then finished something. It's not really important what they finished, in as much as it's important that they did finish. Now, to break it down, first of all, we look at the graduate and the PhD. These individuals, if they enter employment as a graduate or a PhD recipient, they can only work for the state for 1 year, and their annual salary will be 100% of X, or the median household income. The bachelors, at the time of entry, they can only work for 3 years, and their annual salary will be 75% of the median household income. People with an associate's degree can work a total of 5 years, and they will be paid 50% of the median household income as their annual salary. and individuals that enter state employment with high school or GED degrees, they are able to work a total of 7 years, and their annual salary will be 25% of the median household income. Now, this seems to be extremely simple, but it's important that we understand that in this particular game strategy, this salary is the only compensation that's going to be due from the people that are identified from the taxpayer to the state employee. The people in the state are not going to give them insurance or a pension. Really, this structure is built to be a deterrent about people that are more successful in academia, for the people that have a proven track record for finishing something, and for individuals that seem to be extremely intelligent enough to go to the higher levels of college. When we start to identify state employment, the reason that I'm breaking it down like this is because of the fact that the individuals that prefer safety over risk always go into state employment. And there's nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that these individuals are causing a problem because of their infatuation with safety, and therefore they need the permanence of the state in order to facilitate their market persona. And that is irrational. I know that this video is comparatively shorter than the others. I didn't really want to spend too much time on this because I'm going to be doing subsequent videos that are going to be dealing with some of the issues in the campaign that deal with the taxation model, which will explain more of the philosophy behind this in much greater detail. I didn't want to get bogged down in it for this particular model. Again, these videos are just about trying to get people to start talking about the things that they don't understand. And because our economy is a mature economy, we are in a technopoly and a service-centric market device. We are going to have to start being honest about the way that people look at state employment and about what they can do in there. And really, over the long term, the voter is going to have to look honestly at the principle of redundancy. And beyond being a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent, the principle of redundancy is going to have to start playing a much bigger role in the way that people look at state employment and the way that the state offers each individual person a market persona. Because as globalism becomes more and more prevalent, America's fingerprint on the global theater is going to get smaller. And so we're going to have to start to focus in on the things that hurt us in the domestic. Again, this is Stephen Wilson. I'm a libertarian running in the Missouri 3rd Congressional District. Thank you so much for your time.